This, right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And if you're watching this anywhere on the planet other than twitch.tv/deepmindfulness, just know that you're in the wrong place. No, I'm just kidding. You're in the right place. And if you'd like to be part of the discussion, please come on over. Join us here at on Twitch. Welcome, folks. Let us know where you're coming from as we begin to embark on our journey of a lovely Friday. Lovely fun times connecting with each other, having a good old laugh about meditation. Ha ha ha. What an interesting time, folks. This is such a fascinating moment in not only our history, but our sort of social fiber, man. This is going to give a lot more people a relationship to discovering the sort of power of exploratory solitude. Raquel and I were just talking about this. We think we might make a video about it, but is this idea of isolation versus solitude, whereas people seek out solitude. People go to places to have the quietness of their lives explored, the individualism of the uninterrupted experience of perceiving the world, and yet many people are currently isolated. So how do we turn our isolation into a kind of contemplative solitude is a great question. Hello there, our friend Nick, coming to us from deserted Karlstad. You're at the office. Hopefully that's okay and you're safe. It's funny, we're in New York and everyone's like, New York's an epicenter. And there's part of me that's like, yes, New York's number one. Which is, that is what it is. But, New Yorkers are proud of being like, we're New York, blah, blah, blah. But we're an epicenter. My mom is very worried. My mom is calling left and right and saying, hey, maybe you should come stay with me in the mountains. And I'm like, Ma, I think you're one of the people who's vulnerable. I don't know if we should be going out there. But the point is that we actually would consider going out to be in the mountains, except for one big fine detail, which is that, I don't know, my mom has a strong internet, so that would actually be pretty problematic. Unfortunately, we'd love to, but it's the internet. Our whole lives, our whole businesses, and everything is set for being online. So, folks, welcome. So let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Exactly, New York thinks we're the best. We're number one. I saw a hat. Speaking of hats, here's my meditation-related hat. Oh, I'm frozen. All right, we're switching cameras. This has been this great issue that we've been noticing. Oh, now it's all darky. Okay. And I have a hat on. Let's try to fix the lighting. So, there's this hat. This is the Gone hat, which is Tomlin keeps trying to get me to make this merch because I designed this hat, had one made. There's a hat that I saw that was great. It said, USA back-to-back World War champs, which I thought was very funny. Okay, let me see if I can get the filter going here, fix this filter. So, folks, we're going to be meditating today, which is just all kinds of delightful. Let's see here. Let's check out this filter. No filter. What? I thought I saved that filter. That's why it's so dark. Okay, I'm going to fix this up. Here we go. Okay, so let's see. Getting a little brighter, a little more contrast. How about a little more gamma? I don't even know what that is. No, we're going to skip the gamma. Okay, folks. Lovely. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm down with that. Okay, so folks, Nick here says, yesterday at Gothenburg office abruptly closed down a whole branch and ordered us to work from home at the same time announcing massive imminent layoffs. I know this economy thing is about to go haywire. So yeah, big risk of me losing my job. Very sorry to hear that. That is not pleasant. If there was ever a time to tap into wisdom of insecurity, this would be it. Yeah, I mean, this is the reason we practice, is for times like these, right? I think it should be a unique A unique cat, just one of a kind. Yeah, well, everyone wants one, though. I've talked to like a dozen. Shinzen wants one. I met Dan Harris. He said he wanted one. That was years ago, though, so I don't know if he's still interested. Twitch is overloaded. Nick says, I see, and I drank too much coffee. Still in New Mexico, we're locked down before it was a disaster. Sorry, New York. Yeah, exactly. You're locked down before it was cool. Exactly. Guess that's obvious. Yeah, folks, let's do a little meditation. So one thing I want to remind us of, we're exploring emotion, exploring our emotional detection and exploration skills. One thing I want to remind folks of is that we are here together, and in the same way that we have all these different selves bouncing around within ourselves, to consider that the group of people we're here with, I'm the most visible sort of self that we can see, but we all have these different experiences of this present moment, and to acknowledge that we're here together, we can support each other, and just by being here together, it actually changes the relationship to the world. That's actually very interesting, because we've been talking a lot in this class I'm doing about the relationship of different selves, and I think just being in a group of people who can share their own perspective actually affects the way the self experience is formed. It's less sort of seemingly singular and needs to bounce out to other people's perspectives in order to make sense of the world, which is great. Okay, so then we are going to do a little practice. So find a position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. As I crack my knee. And in a moment, we'll begin. We're missing the striker, the bell striker. I always walk away with it. I always walk away. And I'm like, where did it go? And I see it's on top of the fridge or something. Okay. So when you're ready, finding that nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And when you're ready, we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. We come to each meditation in the same way we come to each moment, which is through the filter of all of the previous moments, through this momentum. And the way that we escape the unconsciousness of this momentum is by bringing our awareness to the sensations of this particular moment. So allowing the eyes to rest on a single point, or if we're practicing with the eyes closed, letting the eyelids relax and close, letting this relaxation spread, relaxing the brow, relaxing the muscles behind the eyes, allowing them to drop just slightly. allowing the face to go smooth. Relaxing the back of the tongue, allowing the throat to naturally open, just slightly. Allowing the jaw to go slack, no need to hold the mouth closed. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders, the upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and relaxing the hands. Tuning into the subtle sensations in the palms of the hands and tips of the fingers. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. And noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees and calves. The ankles. And relaxing the feet. And seeing if we can tune into the overall experience of relaxation in the body. So not looking for any particular sensation, just the generalized field of neutral and pleasant sensations in the body. And seeing if we can discover what it might feel like if the body relaxed just a bit more, just 2% more. And paying attention to the difference. What type of sensation shows us that there's even the slightest bit extra relaxation. And looking for those same kinds of sensations as we tune into the experience of the breath. Letting the subtle sensations of the breath be their own category. we'll refer to these particular sensations in this particular moment using a mental label of this. Referring to the exact moment where this sensation touches this particular moment. And the challenge becomes, can we learn to play this extremely simplified game? Just having contact with this. Each time we do in our mind, we can use the mental label this. Always referring to something new, this particular sensation in this particular moment. And of course, at times we'll become distracted. This is quite natural. It's not a problem. We're simply being drawn to some form of not this. So noting in the mind, not this. And letting this raise guide us back to this. Not what? It's not this. Now we're going to make a slight transition. For a moment, letting go of any particular meditation technique. Not needing anything about this moment to be different. And staying conscious of our experience. Scanning for anywhere that it seems like the body or mind would like anything to be different. As though we had a magic wand, and if we simply waved it, we could change any particular detail. Looking for any tiny expression of this. Perhaps wishing a particular distraction wasn't pulling us, or a particular body sensation wasn't unpleasant or slightly unpleasant. We ourselves might not mind, but noticing if the body mind, if the system itself pushes away any particular experience. Reaches out for any other experience. What if the rest of time, the rest of our universe was just like this? No change. No more contact with other people. No more of the little things we enjoy in life. It's just this. And noticing what happens when I use the following word. What happens within the system, in particular in the body. What if it was this exact experience for the rest of our existence, except we were trapped in this experience? Noticing if that word had any effect on the experience. This idea of being trapped. And if the body responds in any way, seeing if we can detect that this response is likely emotional in nature. Or what if instead we got to experience the gift of this current moment for the rest of eternity? Is that experience any different than the previous word? Experiencing this set of sensations as a gift. And if so, how does the body know the difference? What is the body sensation which indicates that one word may feel different than another? What about the experience of joy? Of these particular sensations? Enjoying the richness, the sensorial complexity, this joy to even be alive. And of course, because the mind experiences the world through contrast. Often if we look for joy, the mind may show us something that feels like its opposite. So regardless of which emotion is arising, or none at all, in the mind we can label any of these experiences as feel, referring to the emotional color. If we don't detect any emotion, we're still going to refer to this as feel. It's simply a neutral emotional experience. So staying in contact with the body, looking for the body's current read of what it's experiencing. The way it's interpreting the data. Does it want it to be different? Does it want it to stay this way? Does it want some other way that isn't present to be present? And if that's the case, it's likely navigating these experiences through the filter of body emotion. So in our mind, labeling these as feel. Each time we detect one of these sensations in the mind, simply saying the word feel. Soaking in, letting go, and beginning the process again. And perhaps consciously or unconsciously, there's a sense that this practice is going wonderfully, or it's going terribly, or somewhere in between. So once again, checking in with the body sensations and seeing if we can detect this assessment as a sensation in the body, as an emotional connection. And simply labeling this as feel. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a little bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually letting them rest on one point as they fully open. Tuning into the experience of the body and seeing if there's any emotional momentum, whether it's more neutral or more active, from the practice we've just done, and letting this momentum be the great teacher that shows us how to bring these practices into our daily lives. Okay. So what was that experience like? What happened during the practice, and what are you like now? Making any adjustments to the body you need in order to be comfortable. I just taught an hour and a half long class just before this in the same exact spot, so my body's wanting to be unfolded pretty carefully. So what was that like? So I've heard before that you can use the coffee grinds of Turkish coffee, look at them carefully, and actually divine someone's inner landscape. which is fascinating. I don't know about the veracity of that process, but some people say that it's entirely possible. So I'm tempted to do that to find out exactly what that experience was like for you. But because I really haven't worked on my divining skills, I'd be curious, maybe it'd be easier if you simply tell me what the hell just happened. What happened in your experience? Maybe the practice was sleepy and drifty, maybe it was confusing and complex. What the heck happened? You can jump in the chat, or if folks would like, I think we're going to try something a little different today. We're going to try this. I'm going to put the link to our Zoom in here, so if folks want to jump on the Zoom, since everyone's getting so tuned into the Zoom experience, jump on and we can talk about what happened in your experience. No pressure. And what else is going on, folks? You know, my full-time job, all I do is help folks with challenging experiences. And guess what? I don't know if you picked up on this, but it's a pretty challenging time. I'm curious, how are folks doing in your sequester and your lockdown? What's happening in this life of yours? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, man? Nick says, well, Monkey Mind shouted negative stuff so loud, even missed most of the guidance because it was out without concentration, nothing works. Well, the good news is you noticed that. Big key, big success. First. Second of all, if you ever want to go back and take a look at the guidance, it's going to be right here on the internet. On our second YouTube channel, that's where they live permanently. YouTube.com/ I gotta get a hotkey for this. This is where they live permanently. This is our second YouTube channel. Feel free to hit that anytime you want. So then Nick says, when you notice being trapped, stomach retracted by cramping up instantly. Just had a mental audio about how I feel trapped in a very narrow egoic perspective of current events. So it's a bit uncanny. Felt extremely fixed in my mind, like there was a huge fluidity of consciousness available that I miss out of. Well, one thing to keep in mind. Okay, this is a little bit complex. This is a little bit more than beginner stuff that I'm about to talk about. But I mentioned this in the guidance. The mind notices things by contrast. So you can hear my voice because there's not 1,000 of my voices happening at once, right? You can hear it notices something because it's surrounded by something different. My voice is surrounded by general silence. In the same way, when we say, oh, you know, like so tightly, you know, I feel like the trappedness or the sort of being isolated or this kind of thing, if we can train ourselves to, you know, be able to open our awareness to other things enough times, we can look and say, okay, right now I feel trapped. Well, how do we know we feel trapped? It's, well, because the trapped experience is only one of many experiences that we've had in our lifetimes. So that actually is showing us the opposite. It's showing us the contrasting experience. Oh, my hand is looking giant. It's showing us the contrast between these two things. So there's, are we on this? Oh yeah, we're on this camera. I forgot. So it's showing us this relationship between these contrasting things. So you can, see my face because there's an opening in this little dot here. If there was no opening, and it was all one thing, you wouldn't see the face. Although, interestingly, as it's covered up right now, it's pointing to the fact that my face exists, at least for you conceptually, even though you can't see it. So it's pointing towards this relationship between the two. So even if you feel trapped, just know that the trappedness is pointing you towards that same kind of thing that you say you might be missing out on. So hopefully that's not too obscure. Liz says, you have to grind coffee really fine for that. So I'll just tell you, I didn't know it had to be quite so fine. I found that the labeling this to be just as good as as more descriptive, sorry, just to be just as good as more descriptive labels. Is there a good reason why most labeling practices tell you to do more than the same monosyllabic labeling for everything? Yes, there absolutely is. So I'm going to broaden that question a little bit. So what's the point of labeling would be a larger thing. In this case, you're saying, what's the point of using specific words for specific things? So our mind is an association-making machine. So let's say we just picked a random set of words to associate with ourself, right? We're just going to label any experience of self that we have, but the word we're going to use is hot garbage. You can probably see where this is going, right? It's like, that's not going to work very well. It's going to have these certain associations and probably make these weird, a lot of weird turbulence that we don't really need. So each word is going to have different effects. In this case, the word this is actually very universal. You can just say this, but the problem is if you use just one word, I've found this, if you use just one word, the mind can get very bored with that, and just like you sit there and you're not even paying attention anymore, and the mind just going this, that kind of thing. So I often like to at least use two, so the mind has something to compare the two things to, so it's not just a repetitive thing. So using this or not this, I like as a way to navigate this stuff. And what we're doing also by using this and what we're talking about is not this, I'm also trying to guide people to know and understand the relationship of attention, which is pointed and sort of focused on some detail of something, and awareness, which is actually much more broad and sort of collective of this material. So yes, we can use mental labels to guide ourselves through our world. And it's also worth noting that most labels, often good labels, are non-narrative. It's not like, oh, the story, oh man, life is so hard, this is so messed up, like why the hell? Instead of doing that, we can just say hear, referring to hearing mental audio, which suddenly takes the power away from it, because we hear mental audio and it's, we just get swept away in the content. So a lot of our troubles, a lot of our difficulties is actually based on the fact that the content of our experience is pulling us to all of these, having to sort of exist in all these ways that are very difficult and painful, because we don't get the luxury. We exist in this narrative, and everything's happening to me. I'm the main character of this movie, and it's a life or death situation, and I've got to, win, this kind of thing. All of those experiences are narrative, and so by stepping away into any particular thing, it's a non-narrative experience. However, even the word "this," which, even this is a narrative statement. It's a very discrete narrative statement, but it is saying this. It's pointing from someplace to say this, right? So even that is a little bit of a lie. So hopefully that answers your questions more broadly about what the heck are we talking about when we talk about labels, but let me know if that clarifies or declarifies from your perspective. Catherine, good to see you. Glad you're here. Puppy jumped and barked at me through the practice. It's so funny. We both have new puppies, so I know the feeling. I practiced sitting still and saying this when he barked and jumped. Finally, both of us settled, able to label my trigger thought as this and settle down. That's great. So what you're referring to, Catherine, which is great. So I'll just, for clarity, you did something basically more advanced than we were doing today, which is great. Either one is good, but that was a really good strategy that you employed. So today we're just saying this, and the word is transitory. So today we're referring to this as the breath sensations, and then not this as everything else. But what you did was brilliant, which is that you changed the meaning of this to refer to what had been the distraction, right? It's like, okay, I'm over here and this is so distracting, it's so distracting. We have a few options. We can ignore that thing. We can really just focus on something else and therefore ignore that thing. And one other option of a few is we can actually just turn what we're referring to as this and put it right on the distraction. What that means is, effectively, we can't have distraction. If we know how to handle these things skillfully, the thing that was distracting a moment ago is now the thing that we're paying attention to. And it settles the mind down because we don't have to fight with it as a distraction anymore. So for instance, I was doing this sort of hand stuff before, like if I was just doing this live stream and the whole time I was doing this, I was like, yeah, so, it would be very distracting. But if this was the waving hand show, and I was like, hey everyone, we're back with another episode of the waving hand, right? It would be much easier to watch. Well, this is a pretty funny thing to watch. I hope people are tuning in. Oh, it's funny, there's more people tuning in right now than were here before. Welcome everyone. This is the Shaking Hand Show. Hopefully you're enjoying our programming here. Yeah, that's the exact idea. So hopefully that's helpful. And folks, if you're new here, just know that we do meditation here 3 times a week. Answer any of your challenges, questions, difficulties, anything that's coming up for you. We are here to help if we can. And as always, please let us know if you have questions. We have a Discord where you can leave questions. If you don't want to ask them out loud, you can actually ask them in the chat now. Or if you want to ask a question offline, if you're bopping around and you suddenly are drinking your coffee, spill it on yourself and say, how do I meditate with this? You can leave it in our Discord, and there's a place in the Discord called Questions for Stream. So, let's see. Thank you to Tomalin. Thank you for putting our Discord in there. That's our Discord if you want to keep in touch also offline when we're not live streaming. We are going to do this live stream again this coming week. Oh, wait. Thank you. Self. It's funny, I was thinking someone else reminded me, but I reminded myself here. The schedule is going to change next week. Let me make sure what's going on, because I'm teaching a retreat with Shinzen next week, virtual retreat, and I have to figure out if I'm going to be able to do the live stream, given the fact that I'm going to be teaching around that same time. I've got to see if it's possible. So folks, here's what I'm going to suggest. I want you to know about our schedule. And the only way to do that is if you jump on our Discord, if you want to know ahead of time. There's also a thing there that says announcements for stream. I've got to negotiate and figure out if we can do it at this time next week at a regular 11 a.m. time, or if I'm going to be teaching at exactly that time. So stay tuned. Please feel free to jump onto our Discord if you want to know what the hell is happening here, what the hell is going on. So, folks, it was wonderful to be here with you today. Wonderful to meditate. And, of course, we already mentioned this above, but if you ever want to watch the playbacks, if you can't make the live stream itself, you can jump onto our second YouTube channel, which I am copying and pasting for you now. It's all there along with other content. And yeah, folks, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining. As we drift away into the evening, what else? What else is going on? Any other questions? Let's see here. Yeah, how is everybody doing? Thank you again, folks. Lovely as always to see you here, be with you. What a world we're in. What a strange time. So if we can't enjoy the strangeness, if we're having difficulties, making sure to reach out to folks. We don't have to do this alone. We're not really built or wired to do this alone. As humans, we need each other just as much as we need food or water. If we need to be isolated, which many of us do, seeing if we can explore this idea of solitude. Many people seek out occasional solitude just to explore their experience of the world, explore their inner landscape like we're doing here. So let me know what's going on for you. Let us know between now and then about your inner landscape and how you're doing. Any helpful things we could provide. And just take care of yourself. Take care of others. That's a funny way to spell bye. Bye, folks. Have fun today. Great to see you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here, everyone, as always. Okay, folks, have a lovely day. Look forward to seeing you in less than 72 hours. Thanks, Nick.